it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, July 6th. So today we will see the moon in Aquarius go void, of course, at 9:43 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be transitioning, locking into Pisces energy at 1:33 p.m. So heads up, when we move out of Aquarian energy, which is the observer type of mentality, we're emotionally detached so that we can actually see our lives, the inner workings of some of the dysfunction, some of the reasons of why we have to kind of get to work, get creative, and coming up with a plan, with a solution, with a strategy on how it is that we're going to move away from some of the things that are no longer serving us, some of the things that are no longer in alignment with where it is that we want to pour our time and energy into. When we transition into Pisces energy, all of the feels come back. Why is that? Well, first of all, Pisces is a water sign. Secondly, it is the last sign of the zodiac. Thirdly, Pisces energy doesn't have any boundaries. That's why we have to work on our energetic and spiritual boundaries when we have these Pisces energies really activate, so that we're not taking on the energy, the subtle energies of our environment and people around us. Now, the moon in Pisces, regardless of where you're at in any cycle, the moon in Pisces is not a time of action. It's a time of rest, time of reflection, time of review, time of just stepping back and allowing whatever it is that's going on, thinking processes, feeling processes, to just flow over you and just kind of process whatever is coming up. So, the moon in Pisces is bringing forth and ending a closure to a system, to a cycle. We always have to feel all the feels, kind of get weepy about it, a little bit whiny about it, a little bit of a victim mentality about it, in order for us to shift into the moon in Aries energy. That is the fresh start. That's the fire energy that dries up all the emotion, that really gives us a new warrior type of attitude, that really gives us the spark, gives us the energy to start fresh, cut the cord with whatever's been holding us back or weighing us down, and we can essentially kind of move forward. But we're not there yet. We're just dipping in to this moon in Pisces. So there are going to be 12 different aspects here today, which is a semi-busy day in the cosmos. 10 of those aspects are going to involve the moon. So while the moon is still very much in Aquarian energy, we are still in the observer type of mentality. We are emotionally detached so that we can see the bigger, broader picture of where it is that we're coming from and where it is that we desire to go. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, ruler of communication, is going to square, get into the boxing ring with Chiron, the wounded healer. This is not going to feel good. This is making us very defensive, overly protective. We are very uncertain on who it is that we need to be in this moment, what it is that we need to be doing, what it is that we feel like we should be doing. We are questioning a lot, and we're highly sensitive in doing so, just because Mercury, again, being in that Cancer energy, has us highly emotional, super intuitive, and we're kind of picking ourselves apart because this is a square. A square is tension and conflict. Chiron, of course, the wounded healer, is illuminating our ego self, our identity, if you will. We don't know who we have to be in order to kind of align with the new things in life. So we're really starting to question ourselves, question a lot, if you will. And questioning is both a good thing and a bad thing. Questioning means that we're in a state of confusion, which doesn't feel so nice. But questioning also means that we're really starting to sort through and process what is important to us, what needs to be addressed, what we have to kind of provide a solution before we can actually move forward. The moon in Aquarius energy is going to square off with Uranus, its ruler, who happens to be in Taurus energy. This is not giving us aha moments. This is not providing us with clarity. Instead, this is making us a little bit more cold and rigid in our approach to figuring out what it is that we need to do. Instead, this is showing us where it is that we have to create a little bit of distance in our personal relationships in order for us to regain our own energy, our own perspective. This is showing us where it is that we really do need to take a good look at our physical realms and our circumstances. Again, Taurus ruled energy, in order to figure out where it is that we're holding on too tightly, avoiding change, avoiding transformation, even though we know that that's the best thing for us. From this, the observer mentality mentality of the moon being in Aquarius energy should be highlighting for us where it is that the conflict is, where the problem is. And newsflash, take a look in the mirror. The problem is you. We are holding on too tightly to the old. We are holding on too tightly to what is familiar. And we require a spontaneous change, a pivot point, if you will, especially seeing that we just had that full moon in Capricorn illuminate for us what it is that's no longer working for us and what it is that we have to kind of do in order to create something that is a little bit more supportive and encouraging to what it is that we're trying to accomplish at this particular point in time. And so realizing that you are the problem, you are the block, you are the obstacle, you are the challenge, means that at least you know where the problems lie. The minute that we can address what the problem actually is, we can attempt to solve it, to heal it. So this is going to be a deep inner reflection, if you will, on where it is that we are essentially blocking ourselves from moving on. The moon is then going to directly oppose and sit across from Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, in Leo energy. Aquarius and Leo energy share the axis in the zodiac wheel where they sit across from each other. They're polar opposites. The Leo energy that the goddess Venus is in is the heart and soul of the zodiac. It's where we need to be unique, individual beings, where we have to be heart aligned, where we have to be willing to stand out on our own by ourselves in order for us to truly follow the path that is meant for us. The Aquarian energy tends to want to dim one's light in order to fit in, more concerned about other people's thoughts and opinions and perspectives and all of those lovely things, and has a tendency to be a little bit more, I'm going to say, proactive on doing the things that they think that they should do instead of the things that they absolutely want to do, which of course is more of the Leo energy. So emotionally speaking, we are kind of at odds with what it is that we want, what we need, what we desire. We're very confused about that. We're very confused about what it is that we need to do as far as manipulating the boundaries in our personal relationships go. We're very unsure what it is that we need to be doing as far as our finances go. There is a lot of questioning, a lot of confusion, and we are essentially at a crossroads point with whether or not we are willing to kind of follow our heart space, do what our heart and soul is asking us to kind of do, or are we going to continue to fall victim to other people's thoughts and opinions and do the safe thing, do the expected thing, do the noble thing, if you will, which means that we are essentially putting our own wants, needs, and desires on the back burner if we so choose to fit in instead of stand out. The moon is then going to interact with Mercury. Mercury, of course, ruler of the mental plane in this Cancer energy, trying to show us where balance is needed between logical, practical steps and strategy and emotional and intuitive, I'm going to say, objectives or realizations. The moon is our heart space. Mercury is our head space. We are doing a balancing act. We're trying something new. And for the moment, we are going to be more in alignment with our heart and head than we have in the previous days. Now, things are going to get a little bit interesting. The last aspect that the moon in Aquarius is going to make before going void, of course, which of course kind of shakes things up, makes things very uncertain, unstable. What we are doing here is an opposition sitting across from Mars. Mars, of course, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passions, our desires. He's in Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac as well. And so again, we have Aquarius energy versus Leo energy, where it is that we're meant to stand out and where it is that we have the desire to fit in, and balancing those scales so that we can still honor ourselves on our own individual path and still be a little bit, I'm going to say, aligned with a group, with a team, with a partnership, and do what is best for that particular group as well. Emotionally speaking, this is going to bring up some frustration. We don't know what to do. We don't know what path to take. We don't know what people want from us. We don't know what we want from ourselves. We kind of have a feeling on what it is that we should be doing, but it doesn't feel like what it is that we want to be doing. So that kind of makes it a little bit tough. I would say to be very cautiously aware that you don't allow this confusion to kind of project itself outwards, because you could be very kind of triggered and activated, edgy, aggressive in communicating and expressing yourself. But at the same time, we do have to have this little pep talk within us, if you will, in order to see that there are two very different choice points and paths that we could be taking. But one is aligning us with what it is that we think that we should be doing according to everybody else. And the other one is what it is that we want to be doing. But of course, that requires us to be strong and determined to not be swayed by what other people may say about us following our heart space. So this is when the moon is going to go void. Again, starts getting a little bit shaky, if you will. While the moon is void in this Aquarian energy, we're going to interact with Neptune, who is retrograde in the Pisces energy. What this is going to do is kind of give us an opportunity to live in the higher forms of intelligence, live in the higher realms of our higher self and our higher experience in order for us to see our dreams, our inspiration, our motivations in life. Now, granted, we do have to get our head out of the clouds a little bit because, again, Neptune is retrograde, so we have to kind of deal with life. We have to deal with reality. Everything that we've been running from, trying to avoid, we have to deal with it. We have to clean this mess up. We have to kind of, put things in its place before we can go ahead and start actively working towards new passions, new desires, new dreams, new visions. So this particular interaction is definitely going to help us sort through what it is that we're being called to pursue and moving forward, but recognizing what is blocking us or what needs to be cleaned up before we actually take that particular projection, path, direction in life, and therefore have a really harsh reality check on what it is that we have to address, what it is that we have to fix, what we have to heal, what we have to just confront in order to kind of clean the slate, put things behind us, and prepare for us to actually move on and move forward. The moon will then make a positive interaction to Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings. This is going to work well for us. This is bringing some optimism back. This is bringing some confidence back. We're really starting to see where it is that we do have the opportunity to change, where we do have more power and control over things than what it is that we've been currently feeling. And from that gives us a grounded approach, again, Taurus energy that Jupiter is currently rooted in, gives us a grounded approach on what it is that we want to tackle first, what it is that we need to stabilize first, what it is that we have to bring to life first in order to A, just be okay in this present moment, in order to B, clean up the mess of the past, in order to C, project ourselves and moving forward in a direction of a futuristic state of mind instead of the present moment and reflecting back into the past. So Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire in this Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac, is going to make a very interesting interaction with Neptune, who of course is retrograde in its place of power in Pisces energy. This isn't going to feel good. This is going to highlight for us where we're feeling stuck, where we're feeling unsure, uncertain, where it is that we're lacking confidence, where it is that there's a little bit of confusion on where it is that we're supposed to be pouring our time, energy, and attention into. This is a confusion point of where it is that we're trying to go in a futuristic sense, because we're a little bit too stuck in the ego realm of things. Until we get a spiritual, I'm going to say, refreshment or an emotional trigger or activation for new inspiration or motivation, we're not going anywheres. This is more than just coming up with an idea and taking action upon it. This needs to be passionate. It needs to be something that our heart is 100% asking us to pursue. We can't just exert energy, the very little energy that we have at this point in time. We can't just be out there exerting energy just on anything. We have to be spiritually inspired or emotionally inspired. There has to be some kind of motivation, inspiration, or determination that is kind of, acting as the fuel to this fire. And this isn't going to feel good. It is knocking the wind out of our sails. It is putting us in a state of paralysis, putting pause on any action that we have been contemplating making. We are not as, I'm going to say, sure about some of the things that we were sure about, but it feels like whatever it is that we're trying to come up with right now is almost impulsive in nature, which we don't want to do. We need to be making adjustments before we push ourselves into this next chapter. We have to be really refining, if you will, our present moment, stabilizing what we can before we actively try to create new things. And again, a lot of this is about being present, doing what you can in your present moment to stabilize those circumstances that don't feel good. But even more than that, we'll venture into B here. There's a lot of retrograde planets. This is a lot of reflection. This is a lot of readjusting. This is a lot of realignment. We do have to rework a couple of things, redo a couple of things, revise a couple of things before we can go moving forward. So the forward movements that we are making should actively be about cleaning up the past more than they are establishing a new direction, a new idea, a new passion in actually moving forward. The moon will then interact with the sun. And anytime the moon and the sun come together, it is a illumination on what it is that we're moving away from and what it is that we're trying to move closer to. What we're moving away from is the lack of boundaries that we've had. What we're moving away from is constantly trying to dim our light in order to kind of fit in. What we're moving away from is constantly putting our own wants, needs, and desires on the back burner in order to put the wants, needs, and desires of the collective, of the partnership, of the team, of the group ahead of our own. The sun is shining a bright light in Cancer energy, what we need to do for ourselves, what we have to heal within ourselves, what we have to provide for ourselves, what we have to stabilize ourselves, what we have to do to nurture ourselves. And a lot of that is abandoning a lot of the ways that we have allowed things to happen and people to access us in the past. We are changing the boundaries. The moon will interact with Pluto. This is the last aspect that the moon, yes, void of course, in Aquarius energy will be making. And with Pluto, the great transformer who is currently retrograde in Capricorn energy, this is going to be a deep, penetrating shift in our emotional field and in our mental field. This is a deep psychological domino that gets pushed over, that has a domino effect, recreating the narrative, recreating the script, recreating the memory, recreating the pain and the trauma to actually be a source of power. That's the whole point of it. And we are definitely seeing what it is that's causing us, conflict and tension, where we're having the power struggles, where the boundaries are being tested. And from that, a major change and transformation will be initiated, will take place. There will be a domino effect on this aha moment, leading into some powerful moves that will be made. So then 1:33 p.m., we shift into the Pisces energy. This is when everything's going to get heavy. Everything's going to get dreamlike. We're likely going to be sleepy. It's going to be hard to focus on, anything that has to do with reality, anything that our tasks and chores are requiring focus on. We're not in that realm. We're in la la land. We don't want to deal with life. We want to curl up into a ball. We don't want to kind of, deal with the smaller details that are in our faces right now. We don't want to deal with the situation and circumstances that we're in right now. We want to bury our head in the sand. We want to numb. We want to detach. We want to disassociate. Can we do all those things? Well, I suppose you could, but that's just going to create more problems for you down the road. Again, Neptune, who rules over the Pisces energy, is retrograde. We have to take a good look at the things that we don't want to deal with. We have to kind of stand very firm in our current positions, even though we want to run. We have to deal with the real life scenarios that are popping off that aren't going to get better, that aren't going to change and transform unless you do something about it. Does this feel good? Probably not. Are we going to have some aha moments? 100% yes. Are there going to be tears shed along the way? Well, in Pisces energy, it is highly probable. So the very first aspect that the moon in Pisces is going to make is a couple hours after we actually shift into this moon in Pisces, but it will be a positive one. It's a sextile with the North Node in Taurus energy. So what does this tell us? It tells us that spiritually speaking, we are grounded. What does that mean? It means that we aren't running. It means that we are taking a very gentle approach to trying to stay present so that we can see the circumstances and situations that aren't working so well, so that we can kind of provide a solution. We have to understand where the greatest tough love life lessons are taking place right now, and where it is that we're not feeling so strong, so stable to actually confront them, but understanding that that is what is going to give us the most strength, the most discipline, the most inspiration, the most motivation to grow, to change, to heal, to transform. And so we are kind of taking a more emotional and spiritual approach to our current cluster F of circumstances so that we can attach to our higher selves. We can deep dive in our spiritual wisdom and our spiritual knowledge that we've already accumulated. And we can attempt to not run, to not hide, and actually deal with coming up with some solutions to the problems that we're very, very much aware of. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in Pisces, semi-squaring, creating a little bit of a tension point with Chiron, the wounded healer. Not going to lie to you, this is not a good vibe. It does not feel good. Why is that? Well, because the Pisces energy has no boundaries. It is the unconscious part of ourselves. It is where pain and trauma are stored. It is where endings and closures need to take place, where our spirituality is concerned, where our dreams are concerned, our soul contracts. And so Chiron kind of opens up the wounds, if you will, rub some salt in those wounds so that we can't run away from them, disassociate and detach from them. We have to feel it in order to heal it. And this is a prime example of doing just that. So we're not going to feel our greatest selves. We're definitely going to want to run and hide. We're definitely going to want to bury our heads in the sand. But it's also going to provide us a different perspective on why it is that we just don't seem to change. Again, Chiron energy and Aries at this particular point in time is illuminating our ego selves, our identity. Why it is that we keep doing the same things over and over again, even though that we're aware of them and we know better, but we don't really continue to do better. We're questioning ourselves. We have to break it down. And sometimes we have to break ourselves down in order to build ourselves back up in a much better way. Lean into the discomfort, lean into the pain, lean into the trauma, lean into all of the things that you don't want to lean into so that they don't come back and really mess things up for you in a couple of months when you finally find yourself in a good place doing all the things that you are really wondering on what you should be doing now. Deal with life now so that you can enjoy yourself without the worry of the past kind of creeping back up on you when you finally find yourself in a good position moving forward.